International, that's one stock which is in focus. They bagged new orders worth about 1,267 crore rupees across their businesses, and that stock is on a tear, holding up a solid 5.5% up in the green. In fact, let's chat a little bit more about their business. We've got Vimal Kejriwal, the MD and CEO at KEC International, joining in on the show right now. Vimal, thank you so much for your time, and apologies to keep you waiting. Live markets, things do go a little bit haywire. But congratulations, what a steady, order pipeline you seem to be having. Tell me a little bit more about these new orders. 1,267 crore rupees across your businesses. What's the nature of these orders and what's the execution timeline like?
Good morning, Aisha. If you look at these orders, almost 85% are from our T&D business and 15% are from cable business. Execution on the T&D part will start immediately, and cables, hardly is a product business. So in a month or two, we'll start seeing execution. So the revenues from this hopefully will start flowing in from the Q1 next year.
The growth which you have, which is consistent in line with what the power sector growth is. But in last at least 2 quarters, the power sector per se in India has slowed down. Government spending has slowed down. Private sector capex is yet to pick up. Could that start impacting your business with a lag effect?
Morning, Nikunj. If you look at these orders, and I have specifically mentioned in the press release that these are for the green energy part of it. So right now, if you look at this year's order intake, almost 23,000 and odd, 73% is from the T&D sector. And roughly around 7,500 are from India. And I'll say virtually everything is for the green energy uptake. So right now, I think with the way the PPAs have been signed and the way government is pushing for from 500 gigawatt to 600 gigawatt, I personally do not think that there will be an impact, at least in the near future, maybe a year, 2 or 3. And we were in an industry where we had the power minister and the power secretary and the power grid chairman. Everyone was pushing us saying, why don't you build more capability? We need more capacity in this industry. So I don't think we are right now looking at it. There could be some temporary sort of blips, etc. But I think for the next few years, we are very clear on the way forward.
There was a time when I would just look at power grid capex and I would say what KEC International would do, right? It was very simple to understand your profits. Look at the capex of power grid and then you know that where transmission lines would move. How much of a dependence on power grid has reduced? And is it still true that power grid capex could be a lead indicator of what your business will do?
If you look at the order intake, or maybe I'll go to the order book also. Power grid is around 20-25% of our order book and maybe 30% of our order intake. So if you look at the India T&D piece, yes, power grid will clearly be an indicator of how our business in India will grow. But beyond power grid, if you look at my T&D order intake for this year, it's roughly around 17,000, of which 7,000 in India and 10,000 international. So I don't think it would be fair to say that it would only be dependent on power grid. But yes, power grid is an indicator to some extent.
Very good morning to you, Mr. Kejriwal. This is Cheryl also joining in the conversation. And you did speak about a lot of order books and orders that are flowing in for the company. When you talk about domestic market, I wanted to understand about the international market. How is that actually looking, especially the United States, given the fact that a lot of news flows coming in from the United States and most of them are not positive?
So, good morning. So if you look at the United States and if you look at, I'll just talk first about my exposure. I think there were some questions about it earlier. We have a factory in Mexico and roughly around $25-30 million of exports we have to US from Mexico. And we do have some orders from India. Right now, not too much, but a little bit we have. Fortunately for us, these are all ex-work orders, so I don't think we're impacted by tariffs that way. And what we need to understand is the product which we export, which is transmission towers and monopoles from India and Mexico to US. There is a significant shortage of that in the US market. And with the way the Trump still is talking about building the infrastructure, and especially the power grids in US have been on a back foot, and there's a lot of projects which are even still now under discussion with us. I personally don't think, at least in our industry, we will see a major impact. See, our major competitors are what? Were Chinese and Turkish. Chinese are already out of that market for the last 2 years. And unless they select and say that for India products, especially the towers and all, put a very high tariff as against Turkish, I still don't see the impact too much happening on the India export. As far as Mexico is concerned, Mexico was always a high price market, high cost market also. And the reason we were getting orders were it was sort of falling under Buy Americas because you were importing steel from Americas and exporting it back to Americas. So the prices were very high. So I don't think tariff would have any impact, at least on our product.
Okay. I just want to understand that would you be tempted somewhere then to start shifting manufacturing to US just to make that as a base, have an alternate arrangement so that in a sense becomes a feeder market for you? Are you thinking on those lines?
Not yet. Not yet. I think we'll wait and see what happens on the tariff side. And as I said, that the US market is not a large market for me. So I have enough in fact, if I want to set up, I'll probably go and set it up in Saudi Arabia rather than setting up it in US because that's a much larger market for me.
So broadly, if one looks at the whole construct of the transmission sector, I'm going by what REC told us right now, that they are confident of disbursements growing in the region of about 15 to 18%. If disbursements are growing in the region of 15 to 18% for the sector per se, that becomes a yardstick. So can that be the base at least for your revenue growth as well? Because the rate at which the money would be dispersed, plus minus 1 or 2% could be the growth for KEC International. I mean, is that a fair thumb rule to have?
I think you are right, especially if you look at the India T&D market, our growth target for next year is roughly around 20% of what we have done this year. This year was actually almost 50% more than last year, but next year the target is a 20% growth. And I think overall for the company also, we have generally said that we expect at least a 15% growth in FY26.
All right, so I appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us, and let's hope to see much more of you going forward.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
All right, Suresh Ganpati.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.